In front of millions of stunned viewers, two bitter rivals who had spent years tearing each other apart sat just feet away. Donald Trump, the loudmouthed, power-obsessed bully who turned the White House into his personal empire, and Barack Obama, the ice-cold strategist who had been waiting for this exact moment. What began as a simple debate on leadership exploded into chaos the instant Obama leaned forward, stared Trump down with a deadly calm, and unleashed one brutal question that ripped open Trump's darkest family secret and left the entire nation frozen in shock. This wasn't just another political talk show. This was a rare, high-stakes, televised debate between two of the most powerful men in modern American history, President Donald Trump and former President Barack Obama. The moderator gave a quick welcome and then turned straight to Trump. "Mr. President, you have the floor first. What does real leadership mean to you?" Trump didn't waste a second. He leaned forward, adjusted his red tie, and started speaking with that familiar, sharp confidence. His voice filled the entire studio. "Leadership isn't about fancy speeches or making people feel good," he said. "Real leadership is about results you can see. It's about building big things, creating jobs, making deals that put America first. I built an empire before I ever stepped into the White House. I move fast. I make decisions. That's what winners do. The American people don't want talk. They want action, and they want to win." He paused for just a second, scanning the crowd like he already knew they were with him. A few people nodded. Others shifted in their seats, unsure. Obama sat completely still the whole time, hands resting calmly on his lap. He didn't interrupt. He didn't roll his eyes. He just listened with that quiet, steady look on his face. When Trump finally finished, the moderator turned to him. "Mr. President Obama, your response?" Obama took a slow breath, then spoke in that low, measured voice everyone remembered. "Leadership isn't only about what you build or how fast you move," he said. "It's about something harder. It's about earning trust from people who didn't vote for you, from people who disagree with you. Because if you only serve the ones who cheer for you, you're not leading a country, you're just running a fan club." The words landed heavy. Some in the audience leaned forward. Trump's eyes narrowed slightly, but he stayed quiet for now. Before the moderator could jump in, Trump cut straight back in, his voice rising with energy. "Let me give you a real example," he said, pointing toward the big screen behind them. "During my administration, we signed those trade deals that brought manufacturing back. Look at the numbers. GDP growth hit records in key sectors. Factories opened. People had paychecks again. That's what leadership looks like. Concrete results, not theories, not hope and change slogans. Actual wins." He sat back, clearly satisfied with the punch he'd just thrown. Obama didn't raise his voice. He simply looked at the moderator and said calmly, "Can we put that comparison slide up, please?" The giant screen behind the stage lit up with a clean chart. One side showed Trump's claimed growth numbers. The other side broke it down differently. Income distribution, who actually benefited, and the gap that remained for most working families. Obama pointed at the screen without standing up. "Your numbers look good for the top 1%, he said evenly. "But what about the other 99%? Did their wages really move? Did their health care get better? Did their kids' futures get more secure? Or did the gains stop at the very top while everyone else was told to wait?" The studio went dead quiet. You could hear the air conditioning humming. Several people in the front rows actually held their breath. Trump's face tightened. He started to speak, but Obama kept going, still calm, still in control. "Fast action feels strong," Obama continued. "But if that speed only helps a few while the rest get left behind, is it really leadership? Or is it just speed in the wrong direction?" Trump jumped right back in, his voice louder and sharper than before. He wasn't about to let Obama's question hang in the air. "Look, the American people don't want lectures about trust and morality," he said, leaning forward with fire in his eyes. "They want to win. They want jobs. They want strong borders, great trade deals, and a country that's respected again. I delivered that. I cut taxes. I rebuilt the military. I took on China like no one else dared. I got criminal justice reform done, energy independence, and the Abraham Accords. Those are real wins. Not talk, not excuses. Results that people can see and feel. That's leadership. He ticked off each achievement on his fingers, his tone growing more confident with every name. The audience stirred. Some clapped lightly, others just watched, waiting to see how Obama would answer. Obama nodded slowly, his face calm as ever. Action does matter, he said, his voice steady and low. No one is saying leaders should sit still and do nothing. Problems need to be solved. Decisions have to be made. But here's the thing. When action has no guardrails, when power is the only thing that matters, it doesn't create respect. It creates fear. People might fall in line, but they stop believing. And once fear replaces trust, you're no longer leading a free country. You're ruling it. The words landed heavy. A few people in the back row shifted uncomfortably. Trump's jaw tightened, but he stayed quiet for a moment, staring straight at Obama. Then Obama turned to the moderator. "Can we play that short clip, please? The one from the interview where President Trump talked about power." The big screen behind them lit up. It was a quick, clear video, Trump at a rally speaking into the mic with that signature energy. "I have an Article 2, where I have the right to do whatever I want as president." The clip ended fast, but the words hung in the studio like smoke. Obama looked directly at Trump. "You said you have the right to do whatever you want. Absolute power. Let me ask you this straight. Does that kind of power ever scare you? Do you ever look at it and wonder what it does to a man when he believes there are no limits?" Trump's face changed instantly. His eyes narrowed and his voice shot up, louder and rougher. "That's a total distortion," he snapped. "Fake news, just like always. I was talking about the Constitution, about executive authority that other presidents use too. You're twisting my words to make me sound like some kind of dictator. I fought for the people, not for power. This is exactly why the country was failing before I came in. Too much weakness, too many nice-sounding excuses." His tone had climbed. He was pointing now, his hand cutting through the air. The calm back and forth was gone. The studio felt tighter, hotter. Some audience members leaned forward, caught up in the sudden heat. Obama didn't raise his voice at all. He sat back a little, still looking straight at Trump, and spoke with the same quiet control. "Leadership isn't about who can shout the loudest or hit the hardest in an argument," he said. "It's about who's willing to look in the mirror and ask the tough questions, even when the answer isn't pretty. Especially when the answer isn't pretty." For a second, the room was silent except for the low hum of the lights. Then Trump's hand came down hard on the small table between them. Not a slam, but a firm, frustrated smack that made the microphone pick it up clearly. It was the first time he let his irritation show so openly. His face was flushed, and he stared at Obama with clear anger in his eyes. The moderator waited for the tension to settle just a little before steering the conversation in a new direction. "Let's talk about something more personal," he said. "How much does family shape the way a leader makes decisions? Mr. Trump, you go first." Trump straightened up in his chair, his chest puffing out with clear pride. "Family is everything," he said, his voice strong and confident again. "It's my biggest motivation. It gives me purpose. My kids work hard, they're loyal, and they understand what it means to build something that lasts. Family is my shield. It keeps me grounded and pushes me to protect what matters most. The legacy, the name, the future for the next generation. A strong leader stands by his family no matter what. That loyalty shows real character. Without it, you're just another guy in a suit chasing power." Several people in the audience nodded. Family was something almost everyone could relate to, and Trump delivered the line like he meant every word. Obama listened quietly, then gave a small nod. "Family is important," he said, his tone even and thoughtful. It shapes who we are, the values we carry, and the drive we bring to public service. Most leaders draw strength from their loved ones. I know I did. He paused for half a second, then his voice shifted just enough to change the temperature in the room. But here's the difference. Family loyalty can never be allowed to block public responsibility. When you're sitting in the Oval Office, you don't get to put your own blood above the law or the people you swore to serve. Loyalty to family is natural, but when it becomes a shield that hides problems, that's when leadership starts to crack. Trump's eyes locked onto Obama, but he stayed quiet for now. Obama leaned forward slightly and looked straight at him. Let me ask you directly, Mr. Trump. How many times has Barron, your youngest son, received special exemptions or favorable treatment in family business deals? We've seen public records, old filings, and reports that show repeated involvement and protections that ordinary kids never get. How do you justify that when you're supposed to be working for every American family, not just your own? The question hit like a slap. Gasps rippled through parts of the audience. Trump's face flushed red almost instantly. He slammed his hand on the table again, harder this time. That's a disgusting question, he shot back, his voice rising sharp and angry. You're attacking my child now? My family? This is low even for you, Obama. Barron is a kid. He's off limits. You're dredging up fake news and twisted stories because you have nothing real to say. My family works harder than anyone. We build a brand together. This is nothing but a cheap smear. Trump was breathing heavier, pointing across the small table. The studio felt smaller, the lights hotter. Obama didn't flinch and didn't raise his voice. He kept his eyes steady on Trump and continued calmly. I'm not attacking your son. I'm asking about the pattern. When family stops being family and starts functioning like a private company, with special deals, exemptions, and protections that no one else gets, then leadership stops being public service. It turns into being a boss who protects his own first and the country second. That's not a shield anymore. That's a wall that keeps accountability out. The air in the studio grew thick. People were leaning forward in their seats. No one coughed. No one whispered. The tension was climbing fast. Trump pushed himself halfway up from his chair, his body coiled tight like he was ready to stand and walk off. His face was tight with fury. Then he slowly lowered himself back down, still glaring at Obama. Obama sat perfectly still for a moment, letting the heavy silence stretch just long enough. Then he looked Trump dead in the eyes and asked the question no one saw coming. What's the name of Barron's mother? The words dropped like a rock into still water. Trump froze. His mouth opened slightly, but nothing came out right away. For the first time all night, he looked genuinely caught off guard. A ripple of shocked whispers swept through the audience. People turned to each other, eyes wide. Some gasped audibly. The studio felt like it had lost all its air. Obama didn't wait for the noise to grow. He leaned in a little and spoke calmly, his voice clear and steady. This isn't about embarrassing anyone. I'm not here to attack your family. But when you use your family as a shield, when you wrap every decision in loyalty and legacy, you turn them into targets too. The public starts asking questions. The press digs deeper. And suddenly, the very people you're trying to protect become part of the story. That's what happens when personal loyalty collides with public power. Trump's face was turning red again. He shifted in his chair, gripping the arms tightly. The audience was dead quiet now, hanging on every second. Obama turned toward the moderator. Can we bring up the video call I requested earlier? The big screen behind the stage flickered to life. A man in his late 50s appeared via live video link. Clean suit, serious expression. He had been a senior family advisor to the Trump Organization for years. Obama nodded toward the screen. Mr. Reynolds, you worked inside the family operation for over a decade. Tell us what you witnessed about how decisions were made when family interests were involved. The man on screen didn't hesitate. His voice came through clear and direct. I saw it multiple times. There were clear instructions. Protect the family first, ahead of public scrutiny. I witnessed orders where family protection was placed above legal or ethical concerns. Family comes before the public. That was the standing directive. It wasn't just talk. It shaped real decisions. Trump exploded before the man could finish another sentence. "This is total bullshit," he shouted, cutting the feed off with a sharp wave of his hand. "Fake news. This guy was fired years ago. He's bitter, he's lying, and you're bringing him on live TV to smear me? This is a witch hunt." His voice boomed across the studio, louder than it had been all night. The audience stirred nervously. Some leaned back, others sat frozen. Trump jabbed a finger toward Obama, his face twisted with anger. "You're attacking my family," he yelled. "My wife, my kids, my youngest son. You're dragging them into this circus because you can't beat me on the issues." Obama stayed seated, his expression unchanged, almost ice-cold in its calm. He looked straight at Trump and answered in a low, even voice that somehow cut through the shouting. "No, I'm not attacking your family," he said. "I'm attacking the blindness of power. When loyalty to your own blood becomes more important than truth or the law, that's not strength. That's a dangerous blind spot. And it's exactly what turns good intentions into real damage for the country." The studio was electric now. No one dared speak. Then Trump shot forward in his chair like a coiled spring finally snapping. His face was flushed, veins standing out on his neck. "Enough with the smears," he roared, slamming his fist on the table. "I built the strongest economy this country has seen in decades. I brought back millions of jobs, defeated ISIS, renegotiated terrible trade deals, and made America respected again. What did you do? You gave speeches. You apologized for America. You talked about hope while the country fell apart. All you've got is words, pretty words and fake moral superiority. That's not leadership. That's weakness." He kept going, listing every achievement again, his voice getting louder and faster, desperate to swing the momentum back his way. "People want results, not lectures from someone who spent 8 years dividing the country." Obama let him finish. Then he turned calmly to the moderator. "Can we show the second piece of evidence, please?" The authenticated internal email chain. The giant screen lit up again. This time it displayed scanned emails, dates, and names clearly visible, verified as public records from investigations years earlier. Obama pointed at one highlighted paragraph and began reading it out loud in his steady, measured voice. "Prioritize family business interests in the decision. Shield the brand at all costs. Public optics secondary. Signed off by senior advisors with direct access to the president." The words echoed through the silent studio. Obama looked straight at Trump. "This isn't speculation. This is your own team's words. When family profit and protection dictated policy, the country came second. That's not leadership. That's using the Oval Office as a family office." Trump exploded out of his chair so fast it nearly tipped over. He jabbed a thick finger across the table at Obama, his face twisted with rage. "You have no right to judge me," he shouted, voice cracking with fury. "No right! You're not better than me. You're a failed politician who left the country weaker." Obama rose slowly to his feet as well, standing tall but never raising his voice. His tone stayed low and razor-sharp. "I'm not judging you, Mr. Trump. I'm demanding accountability. The one thing every real leader must face. The one thing you've spent this entire night avoiding." The two men stood face to face now, only the small table between them. The studio lights seemed brighter, the air thicker. No one in the audience moved. Then Obama spoke again, slow, clear, and devastating. "Arrest this man for incest." The words hit like a gunshot. The entire studio went dead silent. Not a cough, not a whisper. Trump froze completely, his mouth half open, face burning bright red. His eyes widened in pure shock. For several long, agonizing seconds, he couldn't speak. The audience sat stunned, many with hands over their mouths. Trump tried to recover. He forced a ugly, twisted smile, then suddenly screamed at the top of his lungs, "This is insane! This is a fucking circus! You're a disgrace!" Obama remained standing, calm as steel, and answered without hesitation, "No, this isn't insanity. This is the moment when blind family loyalty finally collides with the justice the nation deserves." The air crackled with raw tension. Trump stood there shaking with rage, while Obama's quiet authority filled every corner of the studio. Trump stood there for one frozen second, his face still burning red from Obama's last words. Then he spun around sharply, turning his back on the stage. "I'm done with this witch hunt," he barked loudly. "I have better things to do than sit here and listen to this garbage. This debate is over." Without another word, he stormed toward the side exit, his footsteps heavy and fast. The audience watched in stunned silence as the former president headed for the door, shoulders tight with fury. Just as Trump reached the edge of the stage and grabbed the handle, Obama's voice cut through the air behind him, calm, clear, and final. "You can walk off this stage, Mr. Trump, but you can't walk away from responsibility." The words stopped Trump for half a beat. He didn't turn around, but his hand tightened on the door. Then he yanked it open and disappeared into the hallway. The heavy door slammed shut behind him. For a moment, the studio was completely quiet. Then the applause started, slow at first, then building into a loud, steady roar. It wasn't wild cheering. It was deep, respectful clapping that rolled through every row. People stood up in some sections, their hands coming together hard. Obama stayed right where he was, alone now in the bright lights. He lowered himself back into the chair, back straight, hands resting quietly on his lap. The applause slowly faded as he began to speak again, his voice low but carrying to every corner of the room. "Real leadership doesn't need to shout," he said. "It doesn't need to bully or run away when things get uncomfortable. Real leadership is the courage to face the hardest truths, even when those truths carry your own last name, even when they involve the people you love most. Power without accountability turns into poison, and the only cure is honesty, no matter how painful it feels." He paused, letting the words sink in. The studio stayed hushed, every eye fixed on him. "Tonight wasn't about winning an argument," Obama continued. "It was about reminding all of us what this job really demands. Not perfection, not loyalty to one family or one group, but the willingness to put the country above everything else, including yourself. That's the difference between a leader and someone who just holds power." He spoke for another minute, steady and measured, driving the point home without raising his voice once. When he finally finished, the applause rose again, warmer and stronger than before. Obama stood up slowly. He gave the audience a small, respectful nod. No smile, no victory pose, just a quiet acknowledgement. Then he turned and walked off the stage with the same calm dignity he had shown all night. The lights began to dim. The big screens faded to black. A deep voiceover filled the studio as the final image held, "When power is challenged by truth, it's never the one who shouts loudest who wins. It's the one who refuses to look away." The screen went completely dark.